Hello, welcome in everyone. How is it going? I'm Brittany. I know I'm different from Jonathan, so a new face here, but welcome in. Excited to be talking about SSO and identity and things like that today. One of the new 10.0 features. So excited to have Reed here talk a little bit about identity and these new features that are coming in 10.0. So, Reed, do you want to kind of introduce yourself and talk about what you do here at Ninja?
Sure, Brittany. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Reed. I'm the new product manager for identity at Ninja One. I've actually been with the company for about 5 years now. I just transitioned over into the role, though, a few months ago. So 10.0 was one of the first releases I was a part of. So I'm really excited to unveil a couple new features. Being in the support role myself, I got a lot of feedback in the moment from our awesome customers, and there are a couple goodies here that that people really asked for a lot. So excited to go over that with you all.
Awesome.
So
Yeah. And if anybody has any questions as this goes along, as this presentation goes along, feel free to pop them in the chat and I'll kind of moderate them and send them over to Reed so we can discuss from there. Um, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and just jump into the demo.
cool,
Um, now that I'm looking at it, I'm realizing that I might not have set that up correctly. Um,
no problem. I should be able to share my whole screen if that works.
okay, perfect. Yeah.
Cool. One moment. I think it's this one.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. You all should see a login screen. Okay.
Yes,
Now we can
that's
dive
perfect.
in. Cool. So we have a couple new features, as I mentioned. The main ones we're going to be talking about today. One is identity provider initiated workflow. That's signing in from your identity provider rather than from the service provider, which is in this case Ninja One. Another feature we'll go over is the all users dashboard, but we'll dive into the IDP portion first. So at the moment, yeah, before 10, I'll say you used to have to go to the Ninja website. You would enter in your username. You would go to sign in, and that would bring you to your identity provider. And then the identity provider would link you right back to Ninja. Uh, you no longer have to do that, which is great news. So what I can do then is I'll skip this feature and I'll show you identity provider initiated workflow, both from Intra ID or Azure, if you're using that as your identity provider, or Okta. Those are kind of the top two, but you can use this feature with really any identity provider that is SAML 2.0 compliant. So I'll exit out that tab and I'll show you what that looks like. Uh, so most of your end users and a lot of the technicians alike, especially even myself, I like to go to my identity provider dashboard. So in this case, this is the My Apps section. So your users, if you're in a Microsoft heavy environment, you may be using this section. I'll show you Okta here. So if you go to Okta, you'll be able to click on. You can go to your apps and see whatever your IT system is giving you access to, and you're able to click on those apps and launch from there. So rather than going to the Ninja site, if you're assigned the Ninja app, you just go to one of your tiles like you would any of your other apps that you're assigned to or your end users are assigned to. And you'd be able to go to, let's say this is the NA version. I click on my app, and boom, you're into Ninja. Now, the reason why this is so important, a lot of users are very used to being assigned applications from their IT department, and they have a one-stop shop for accessing those apps. They go to that app section, they click on their app, and they're in. The workflow used to, not, like let's say with the Ninja side of things, it didn't really adhere to that more standardized workflow that your end users are especially used to, and technicians as well, system administrators. So now anyone can access your apps, your Ninja, from your app dashboard, nice and easy. I'll show you a little bit on the configuration side what that looks like. It's different for each identity provider, but it's very simple for most. It's just when you're setting up your identity provider, there's just an option to either make the application visible for your users that are assigned or add it to the apps dashboard. It's very simple. It's normally a one toggle item. So that's what identity provider initiated workflow looks like from the Microsoft portal. Now, if we go to, let's say, Okta, another popular identity provider, I can go to, let's say, the EU dashboard. Okay, so I clicked on that app tile. And this is going to take me to a branded version of Ninja. So you can also set up your identity provider to splash you to your branded site. So you can either do branded or unbranded for identity provider initiated workflow. Because it's bringing you to that, it's one click of a button that gives you one URL that you can really associate this with. There are different options available. I'll show you on the Okta side, especially how easy it is to set up and either set the default for IDP initiated workflow to the branded or the unbranded site. So that's IDP initiated workflow in a nutshell. It's just that one click option from your identity provider dashboard. No longer do you have to go to the Ninja site. You still can, of course. Feel free to go to the Ninja site anytime, and you're used to that workflow already. But this is just essentially adding a very very normal feature and an expected feature to Ninja. So I'm really excited about that. Brittany, are there any questions so far? Do you want me to keep showing IDP initiated workflow and the setup process?
I don't think there are any questions just yet, so feel free to continue going on
Okay,
any demos you got.
cool. All right, let's keep it going then. So I'm now in the Okta admin console. The reason I'd like to take you here, I'd like to show you how you configure IDP initiated workflow on the Okta side, and also some changes to our Okta integration network template. So if you go to, let's say, browse the app catalogs. So Ninja has its own app here. If you search for Ninja 1, here we are. Okay, I can add this in. And then here are, of course, there are some things that changed under the hood, but in terms of the template, there are a couple items that have changed. You now have your primary host name, and it just gives you an example. It can either be a branded or unbranded. What's important here, this is used for your IDP initiated logins. So whatever you add here, whether the branded or unbranded URL, this is where you're going to go when you click on that app tile. Your secondary host name is that backup in case you want to do the service provider initiated workflow, or you maybe turn off branding, something along those lines. You're adding that secondary host name is going to just essentially add whatever you didn't add here. If you plan on using both branded and unbranded sites, or you'd like a fallback. A new addition to this template, and it's something we can get into, and we'll brush over quickly. It's a new feature. It's unique entity IDs. That allows you to essentially add if you have multiple Ninja consoles, there are times where people have multiple Ninja tenants. You can add you can set up your identity provider. So let's say if it's Okta in this case, you can use the same Okta portal for multiple Ninja divisions. So that's what that unique identifier is. It's really just an extra couple characters, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. That allows you to add the URL to Okta, whatever the Ninja URL is, and Okta's not going to scream at you and say, "Hey, you already have an app for Ninja. You can't add another one." But, Okta doesn't know it's a different division. Um, I don't want to get too in the weeds without some visuals, so I'll just show you. That is just one new item in the template. And then the last thing that's important with IDP initiated workflow, and something I touched on earlier, making the application visible. So in the case of Okta, you can toggle this, which will make the application not displayed to users that are assigned it, or by default, it already is displayed. So as soon as you create the identity provider app for single sign-on and for SCIM, you assign it to your users or those groups of users. Uh, Unless you've toggled this on, it will be available in the Okta dashboard for your users. So you'll see here, I don't have a ton of apps like I do compared to the Microsoft My App section, but if you have multiple Ninja divisions, this is what it would kind of look like for you. So that is how you would set it up with the new Okta app template. Azure, there is no new template. It's just adding a generic SAML application, and you just enter in the details. It's the same setup instructions that are currently listed, within our dojo. So one other thing I'd like to show you, if we go to Ninja 1 and we go to accounts, we go to identity providers, all from the administration section. One thing that's very important, if you have an existing identity provider configured and you're really excited to use IDP initiated workflow, it's not going to work for you until you just go to edit and you enable IDP initiated login. So just make sure that you make that change. We don't want to enable it for anyone by default because obviously your preferences matter, and we don't want to override any settings that weren't previously set up by you. So just make sure that you enable IDP initiated login with any existing identity providers. So that's just that one little quick item, and the errors are they'll tell you, hey, access is denied. You don't have the permission to do this. So you'll get an error if you forget that step, but that's why you would get the error. So last thing I'll really go over with IDP initiated login, and then we'll jump over to that all users section. One thing that I touched on just a little bit earlier, it is somewhat related to IDP initiated login, but more just single sign-on in general. We now have the new unique identifier. So the unique identifier, again, you'll see it's just kind of added to the end. It's added essentially to your URLs, and that's just going to allow you to not get duplication warnings in an Entra ID or Okta or one login if you have multiple Ninja divisions like I do. So I can use Okta, one instance of Okta for all my different Ninja divisions. So nice and handy for people who have that unique use case. And when you're setting up a new identity provider app, you again have the option of enabling IDP initiated workflow. So that's one of the new features that a lot of people have been asking for, kind of in the past. And I'm really happy that we have it. I feel like it brings us to the modern era at this point. It's one of those things that, like I said, a lot of people have really been asking for. Before I go to the all users section, which is the new exciting feature of 10, in addition to IDP initiated single sign on, are there any questions?
Yeah, Robert actually asked, is this setup all documented? I'm assuming it's in the dojo somewhere, but
Yeah, excellent question. I worked with the documentation team to make sure that at least some of our identity providers, so that is covered essentially in the documentation. But do keep in mind that IDP initiated workflow is available for any SAML 2.0 provider. So it is kind of an open-ended item, but I do have it documented for at least a couple. Now, if documentation was not updated for anything, any identity provider that's near and dear to your heart, I'm happy to look into it. Some things may still be under review at this point, but I think for the most part, this should be documented. And hi,
awesome.
Robert. Hi from Discord.
He also asked, can we already easily replace the certificate if it expired without remaking it?
Yes, that is an excellent question. So for anyone who needs more context, if your certificate, your signing certificate for single sign-on and for SAML expires, uh, our previous instructions were to delete your identity provider application, and then you had to re-add, which is a bit tedious. Again, I'm new to the role, but I did find out recently, as of version 6, that no longer is necessary. So we had some outdated documentation. I put in a request to have that removed, and now you should be able to re-upload your certificate. So I'll make sure that we have some really in-depth documentation for that. It's one of the main one of the main goals for me long term and also immediate term is making sure our documentation is as up to date as possible for single sign on, because I know that it can be a tedious setup, and I'm trying to add more identity providers. So I do want to start with revamping what we have. So you'll start seeing, and you may have already seen some major changes with Okta, especially, and Intra is pretty much it should be up to date, but we have a couple other changes on the way. Yeah,
Sweet.
great question, Robert.
Yep, those are all the questions for now. So if you wanted to check out the next feature that you were
Cool.
looking forward to.
Cool. All right, so we can do that. So the next one, very, very useful and also very simple and straightforward. So well, I'll try and give you a brief overview of what each item, kind of does and what's new. I think that's what's always exciting is what's new here. So we now have an all users section under administration and accounts. This is your one-stop shop for user management, both for technicians and for end users. So what we've done here is combined the technicians tab and the end users tab and put it under one. Don't worry though, if you're a really big fan of this end users section, it's outside of administration. It's still available, and we've kind of matched up what was here in terms of capabilities, in terms of the look, and added it and revamped kind of what was under the account section before of administration. So with some of those new features and that new revamping I was discussing, we now have single select and multi-select options available. These checkboxes did not exist before for that, for like the technician section here. So you no longer have to go into each and every account to make some important changes. So in terms of actions that are available, it depends on the account state, and it depends on the account's type and how many you're selecting. So like let's say for an end user, if I select an end user who's active, I have the option of resetting their MFA, resetting their password, assigning an organization. So that's end user specific. You can't assign a technician to an org, so that option wouldn't be available for a technician, let's say. You can quickly assign devices, change authentication, cloning a user. So that's going to clone over a lot of the features. It won't assign the same devices or anything along those lines, but it will essentially just remake that user. You can disable and you can quickly delete users. uh, Something that I really like here, and I'll show you. I'll click on two users, an end user and a technician. So our actions, our bulk select actions are lesser at this point because we have basically two different types of users and two different states of users. Kind of clicked on and selected at this moment, but we can quickly disable users, which is really handy, and we can change authentication, which is my favorite new quick action. In the old platform, before 10.0, you had to click on, let's say, a technician account, and you'd have to go to their, I believe it was their security tab, and that's where you could update their authentication type. You'd have to do that one by one. Now you can choose between native and single sign-on. So when you're setting up your identity providers, you're going to see, you're setting everyone up to do single sign-on. You can quickly change everyone over. Used to be a bit more of a tedious process available. So that's what these bulk select and single select items are. Again, the features kind of vary. The actions vary based on the type of account. Another favorite feature of mine, if you have some users who maybe haven't accepted their invitations, you can quickly resend email invitations, and you can do this in bulk, which that is very handy from a rollout perspective. If you set people up and they take a long weekend or something, and then they can't sign in to Ninja, they haven't accepted their invitation, or maybe you haven't rolled out Ninja to everyone yet, but you want to roll it out to a new department, and you want to kind of slow roll it, and maybe you created everything 2 weeks ago, but you haven't sent it out. All of those invitations may be expired. You can quickly resend from here. So nice and handy, feature available. So there are some new ways of searching and filtering, and you can add and remove and kind of change out these columns as you see fit. So we have some new columns that are available. Really handy columns. So of course there's searching by name, by email, the user type. So you can, if you are concerned with maybe making if you're doing some bulk actions or anything, and maybe you're concerned about accidentally selecting the wrong type of user, maybe people have multiple accounts, you can always filter by user type. So end user or technician, make your changes from there. You can sort by organization for your end users, and then even user role. So there are more filters available. So maybe you want to check to see if users, maybe they don't have access, or maybe MFA is not been set up yet. Things along those lines. One thing that I want to note that's really important here for anyone who has technicians in your environment who are not system administrators, maybe you don't want them to have access to all types of devices, or maybe you don't want them to have access to all organizations. This assigned devices section, you can essentially view any device that's assigned to a user here. And when you click on this view, if there's more than one, then you'll get a listed view rather than just the hyperlink. But any user who, let's say, they're not assigned to view a Mac, so maybe they can't view Mac as a device type. That the technician who signed into this console, they would not see that device. So we want to make sure that we respect whatever permissions you have set up. So visibility into different, let's say, assigned devices and organizations, anything in this list that you see here, we make sure that it adheres to your whatever permissions that you have set up for those technician roles. All right, so last thing I really want to kind of go over, let's see. Oh, there's someone typing. Brittany, I can't hear you. Are you typing? Sorry, or saying something? I can hear you.
No, that was me. Stryker did have a question. Sure. Will change authentication allow to use away from the SSO/IDP? We can move stale users.
I'm sorry, Brittany, you cut out just a little bit. Can you repeat the beginning?
Sorry, yeah, my internet might be a little, so hopefully you can hear. Will change authentication allow us to break a user away from SSO/IDP settings so we can remove stale users?
Oh, if you change, yeah. So, sorry, if maybe let me make sure I've got the question right. But if you want to change the authentication type for a user, yeah, this would break them away from, let's say, if maybe they're in single sign-on, you want to revert them to native. That is an option available if that's what you were asking.
I believe so. Yeah, I think that might be right, but definitely feel free to clarify if that was not what you were looking for.
Yep, and hi from Discord as well, Stryker. So if I didn't answer your question thoroughly, and if we don't get to it again in this, feel free to reach out in Discord. Happy to chat.
Robert also asked, is there a way to create users ahead without sending the invites yet?
So the only way to create a user without sending a user invitation is through Skim at the moment. I would like to add the option of, I guess essentially not sending the invitation, so holding off on sending user invites in the future. It's something I'm hoping to probably have in maybe next year, but basically to answer your question, no, unless you're using Skim.
Sweet.
Well, not right now.
Yeah. Awesome. Those are all the questions that I think are in chat, but definitely feel free, anyone, if they want to clarify any of their questions or if they have any additional questions, just let me know.
Okay, perfect. So, all right, I want to save a couple more minutes for any just general questions you might have about identity or any of the new features that we saw today. But I would like to show you there are some table settings available. Again, you can reorder your columns. You can also remove columns. I have all that are I have pretty much everything added at the moment. But you can get rid of these things or add more. So we even have some cool items here. I didn't show you. So like when an invitation was accepted, the MFA status, user access, if they can access or can't access. So yeah, different table settings are available. And one of the handiest parts of all is you can export all of these, all this information, and you can either do visible or all user details. So maybe it's just the columns that you have visible. Or if you want every single user detail possible from the all users dashboard, you can export this information. And it's basically just a nice, easy spreadsheet that you're able to read from. So that might be really useful, for any kind of user lifecycle management that you might want to adhere to, or just general reporting for any stakeholders that you might have. So yet another area of the product that you're able to export from and have some detailed information on. So that's the all users dashboard. We went over identity provider initiated workflow. I know that identity it's not the most exciting, but it's really important, and it's one of those things where I want to make sure that we're meeting all of your needs, and that any questions that you might have or any pain points on the product, I'm happy to address in the moment as well. But yeah, Brittany, are there any questions I can answer either for yourself or for anyone in the chat?
Yeah. Hopefully, right now. option increase the cost is more of a whole discussion, not an identity. So, I don't know if that's something we would be able to answer
Great question.
or speak
Great
to.
question. So the columns they will kind of resize. They do have limits. They have set limits. I think is it 400 pixels each or something along those lines. So we do have limits set here. Resize is not an option at the moment. They will dynamically resize as needed. But yeah, there is no like I guess like resize, based on your wants or needs. Yeah, that is like Brittany had mentioned, more of like an overall design question, and definitely some design feedback that we can give to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely happy to filter that through. And it might already be a feature request out there. I'm sure it is, but definitely will happy to filter that feedback in.
Cool.
Striker asked, Reed, when are you going to get my Okta verify as a valid AMR?
That's probably one of the hottest topics around us identity nerds at the moment. The way that Okta sends through, they don't count it as MFA. It's not an MFA attribute. It literally is. I think it's just Okta underscore verify is the AMR attribute they send back. I'm working, and that's probably one of my top priorities for an upcoming release and for early next year, is to not essentially allow Okta verify specifically, but to allow you to have more universal AMR attributes available to you, and make MFA bypass available outside of just Okta and Entra. So anyone using like One Login or Duo. So hoping to have that for you really soon, and I think it'll be a part of those changes. I just want to make sure that it's done right and it's done securely. I agree though. It's confusing.
He said, "Trust me, bro," is valid.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that if you just say, "Trust me, I'm take care of it," Striker understands.
Yeah, I'll get it taken care of for you. Got to figure out the best way to do it because it's a weird little attribute. Okta Verify is like a black box for us. It can do so much, but you can also set it to do not so much. So want to make sure we do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those are all the questions that I can see right now. I don't think anybody else had anything. I'm not sure if you have any other things that you wanted to show or anything that you wanted to share before we hop off.
That should be about it. Just look forward to a lot of bug fixes coming from the identity team, a lot of quality of life improvements, and we have some really new and exciting features that I'll be excited to talk about. As we get a bit closer to some upcoming releases. So stay tuned. Identity stuff is definitely it's going nowhere but up at this point, and I listen to all of y'all's feedback. So please feel free to relay that feedback. It makes the product a lot better. I love a lot of the use cases that you all bring and pain points that I can help address.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah,
Robin did add a QR code to our Discord server up in the top left. So if you aren't already a part of our Discord server, definitely join. There is a whole identity
no,
channel in there. So feel free to pop any questions that maybe you didn't get a chance to ask today on this stream. Feel free to pop them in there or anything, any ideas or feedback or anything that you think of as you're using the product. So, but that is about it. Thank you so much, Reed, for jumping on today. I really appreciate it.
absolutely.
And yeah, we'll be back, I believe, tomorrow with another 10.0 stream. And in the meantime, hope y'all have a good rest of the day.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
right. Take
Bye.
care, y'all.